Hello and welcome to Watchin It. On today's show, Robert says Izakais aren't always fun. Donnell goes back to his Boy Scout roots. And on Agatha All Along, Sharon proves she's a real one.
Oh, I'm so pissed. I'm so pissed.
I don't know. Part of me is like, she better not. She's not really dead.
She is. She's totally dead.
Ah,
You think it's another trial or something? Okay,
maybe.
look,
We'll find
let's
out.
get into it.
Yeah. Let's dive into this show.
Season 1, episode 3 of Agatha All Along. I did not see a name.
It's the trials. I had this one. It's just the
They
lyrics.
even have like an opening credits.
It's
in
just
this
the
one.
lyrics of
the song.
the song.
Yeah, we don't
so
care
that
about
part.
the name. The names aren't exciting in this one like they were for Snowpiercer, where there was things to discuss and argue about.
I will say though, watching this when it started, there was a episode recap, and I was like, "See, this is a show that should have a recap. You got to wait a week to watch it. Recap is fine, but when you release it all at once, cut that out."
Again, the AI algorithm should be able to figure out whether or not we've been watching it straight through and binging it or not.
Exactly.
Figure out the code.
Yes. All right. So this episode picks up right where the last one ended. They're on the road. Yep. They're on the road. I mean, a couple things that made very clear early is one is like the rest of the witches obviously Sharon / Mrs. Hart, not a witch.
Yeah.
So that's
she is a witch. She just is undeveloped, in my opinion.
Okay.
She's a green witch.
A green witch.
Yeah. She just doesn't know that has the witch potential. And that's my opinion.
Okay. So then that might because the other thing I was going to bring up is that none of them can hear what any of his details are.
Yeah.
And we are
now we don't know if Sharon was around to see that, because I feel like we would have gotten a brief scene of her freaking out.
Yeah.
About not hearing his name.
Well,
I think she had wandered off by the time.
Well, no, she hadn't, because I think in that scene after he says his name, because Agatha starts breaking down why everybody needs to complete the road. And by the time she gets to Sharon, Sharon's gone. But I feel like you see her when Agatha starts her breakdown. But still, my thing is, because that thing is, if you're correct that she's a green witch, then that would explain why she didn't. Because so basically they say about the teen that he says what his name is again, and none of them hear it. And we see the little weird sigil thing appear in his mouth, and they say he has a sigil placed on him. And they explain that a sigil is something to basically to hide things from witch folk.
So the thing we learn here is that it's not specific to Agatha.
No,
it's all
witches.
Is
what
they say.
Yeah. And so my thing is, I was like, well, Sharon's not a witch, so she should have heard the teen's name. And that's what I wonder also is the sigil is placed on the teen. So if he says his name in the presence of a normal person, and then that normal person says his name, the sigil's not on that normal person. So would they hear it then?
I think a normal, regular, everyday person like a Tony Stark or whatever would hear.
Yeah, no, I know he would hear it. I'm saying if then Tony Stark said what the teen's name is, would
that's
the witches hear
interesting.
it? Because I feel like the sigil or curse, whatever you want to call it, is placed on the teen. And Tony Stark isn't, unless the magic expands.
No, I think, in my opinion, that would be a loophole. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Because the sigil's on the teen, not on the Tony Stark or whoever else in the Avengers or whatever.
That's what
Can we talk about, for a sidebar here? Thunderbolts trailer came out this past week.
Yep.
The poster and the trailer look fantastic.
Like,
I don't know about the lineup.
What do you mean?
So much like what's the one that can like copy anything that anybody can do?
Freaking Taskmaster.
Taskmaster?
Yeah.
That's an interesting character. Kind of just a throwaway from a previous
That's what I'm going to say. It's interesting. So, the lineup we got.
That's from the Black Widow movie, right?
Yeah, that's from the Black Widow movie. And, like, we didn't get to see much of her. So, I do agree, like, but maybe they're going to hopefully, like, I feel like, so what we have essentially is Bucky. We have, it's got the Red Menace. I can't remember what his name is.
The Red Scare?
The Red something. It's basically the Russian Captain America. We have Black Widow. We have Taskmaster.
The Florence Pugh Black Widow.
Yeah. We have Taskmaster, Ghost, and then we have one other person who I think is going to turn out to be Sentry.
It is going to be Sentry, and that's going to be insane because I didn't know who Sentry was.
Oh, you didn't know?
And I went and looked them up. They are like a god being
Mhm.
amongst the Marvel. So
Everyone
we'll see how
always
that
says
goes. Yeah.
Sentry is the Marvel Superman,
He's
and
he's an Avengers level situation.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
he's got like a dark side to him that's like all
Yep.
powerful.
Yep.
Like
That
it's
it's his
crazy.
arch enemy that he doesn't know is himself for a lot of his storylines. Eventually he does find out. But
Yeah.
yeah, his arch enemy is himself. And it was like, well, that's gotta be a hard one to fight. But anyways, but yeah, so and out of those people, like we know a lot about Bucky already. I'm not saying I'm glad Bucky's there. I felt like we got a good amount of Elena and
By the way, I'm upset that Bucky's there because I need him and Captain America
yeah.
because him and the actor that plays Captain America, I don't know the name.
Hmm.
They have such a good chemistry.
They do.
Like
They
that,
do.
not only the actors but those characters, such a
Hmm.
good chemistry. But to take Bucky out of that and put him
Yeah.
in the Thunderbolts is sucks.
I mean, I think it's explainable in universe just because Bucky is, a known, even if not on purpose, a known traitor to the U.S.
Red Guardian,
and
by the way.
Red Guardian,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
attacked America, almost caused an outfall in with Wakanda. Well, like even though it is like one is he was brainwashed and he is a good guy and he helped save the world and all that stuff. I'm not saying that. I just feel like it's kind of hard to pitch like, hey, it's Captain America and the guy who almost killed Captain America and started some things and did some terrorist acts. Like it's kind of hard to pitch him
Yeah.
in that. Um,
Anyway, it looks really fun.
it looked
Anyway,
really fun.
we can go back to
Yeah. So
Agatha.
that's one thing while watching this. So watching Agatha All Along, we came into it with, not high hopes. So far, I'll say I'm not disappointed, but I'm also not excited. Like it's
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 just
going
there.
along. It's
It's
just
not
there.
bad.
Yeah.
It's just not great
Yeah.
yet. We'll see where it
Well,
goes.
here's my big Vic.
There was so much talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's been all this like chatter on like Instagram and in the news and whatnot have been like people are so upset that it's so gay. And I'm like, "What?
What?
Are they they're like, okay, the teen
Yeah, the
is
team,
gay.
and
He's got a
he mentioned
boyfriend."
his boyfriend like once or
Yeah.
twice. It was too gay. What?
What? I'm not getting like an overwhelming gayness to this
No.
show. Yeah.
Is it? Are they just saying because there's a gay character that makes it too gay?
I don't man, it's like I
Man,
just
you
don't
would not have liked Snowpiercer then.
yeah, I just don't get the
Gay
meta
people were in
discussion
there,
about this
man.
show is just like going
Yeah.
crazy. You know, I did see is an interesting comment that was like the X-Men cartoon had
Hmm.
like 4.3 or 4.5 million views and they
Yeah.
heralded it as like an amazing success and coming
Hmm.
back this had the opening episode of Agatha All Along 9.3 million viewers and they're like it's a doomed to failure.
Yeah. Yeah. The metrics are so screwed. But anyways, with Agatha, one of my big things while watching it, and it's just the MCU and larger, but also I feel like just while watching this Agatha, because I'm like, why? I'm not putting down, like I said, so far this hasn't been, but I'm like, why the MCU has always been about telling a bigger story
Yeah.
where everything, it leads to something. And I'm like, if I feel like there needs to be some input from whatever, because that seems like, why do we care about Agatha getting her powers back if there's not some bigger implications to it? Whether
There are
that's,
bigger implications
yeah, that's what I
that
figured.
they've kind of talked about a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was picking up on, but that's what I'm like, that's what, for this show to be a success in my mind, like, it's already hit where, like I said, it's not terrible, which I know that's not a high bar to reach, but I'm like, it already hit the bar if it's not terrible, which is great, but I need the MCU as a whole, but especially this show, I need it to be like, at the end of Agatha, it needs to open up some doors to what's coming, where I'm like, yes, there we go. And right
I
now,
think it is.
I really, yeah, I
I
think
think it is.
it's going to also, because there's definitely a lot of mystery in this show, which I do like.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, getting back to the
All right,
story.
where are we at? They're on the road.
Yeah.
They're talking about they need to tame their fears
Mm-hmm.
and that there's going to be a trial for each
Eats.
of the witch's specialty,
Yes.
which lends to your opinion that Sharon Hart isn't
Isn't
dead
dead because they
because what are
haven't
they
got.
going to do when spoiler when they get to the end of this episode? They say Sharon's dead,
Well,
but then what are they going to do about the Green Witch's like
well, so I
trial?
still think the theory is, and this kind of bums me out because this would lead more to Sharon being dead. Is I still think that the original Green Witch was Audrey Plaza's character, Rio,
Yeah,
and
because
so
the
part of
Black
me,
Heart, yeah.
yeah, part of me feel like she's gonna catch up to them and then fulfill that part.
Yeah,
So
I can see it.
that actually now, like you said, now that makes me think maybe Sharon is actually dead, which
Which
sucks
upsets me because
because
that character is so fun and
see,
that actress is so
and
fun.
she's just so great in everything. Like one is she still is going along with the punches, but she is posing some objection. She's like, "I'm not supposed to be here,"
She's like,
or
"This is a
yeah, she's like,
kidnapping.
"This
This
is
is
a
crazy. I'm
kidnapping."
not getting self-service." Like,
Mhm.
this is the worst party ever.
Yeah, I love the worst party. So anyway, speaking about Sharon, like I said, they're gearing up to go on the trial, and then they realize she's missing. And this is where we see that the road is specific. You want to stay on the road because Sharon just wanders off a little bit and gets into some sort of like, I mean, kind of quicksand, but seemed a lot more aggressive.
It's kinda like the tree from, Lord of the Rings.
Mhm.
Yeah, it just,
Mhm.
like, kinda eats her purse and
Yeah.
she tries to save it and takes her with her, yeah.
So what we noticed in this whole episode, which isn't surprising, but it is a little confusing, and my theory is that we're gonna find out Agatha never actually did the Witch's Road.
I
But
agree. I agree. She
mhm.
seems very, obscure about it
Yeah.
and like she's bullshitting her way through it for
And the
sure.
fact that it's like everybody else seems to understand that the coven has to complete it. And so the fact that like when Sharon's getting eaten by the
Yeah.
ground, like I mean, don't get me wrong, Agatha is very much portrayed as a selfish character and stuff. So I get, but she is throughout this whole episode, she keeps on trying to do things that it's more than just selfish because like she wants her powers back.
Yeah.
And so my thing is like you got to complete the road, and they've made it very clear, or at least most of the rest of the witches and the teen seem to understand the coven has to complete the road. And so my thing is like, I don't think she's ever completed the road because then she would know that for a fact and wouldn't be like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta save me. It's like, well, then nothing works if you don't.
I mean, you say that, but there's also times where, like when they get to the Hart almost gets eaten,
Yep.
and then they're like, "Where do we go from here?"
And
And then they
there's a
see a house on a
nice house on
beach,
a beach shows up, which is
and then they
just
get into the house, and they're kind of all their clothes change.
mm-hmm.
They're kind of like in I d
You're in a drink your
Martha
tea. I
Stewart
was say drink
world,
your tea
yeah.
with two hands
Yeah, yeah,
sort of
kinda situation.
scenario,
And
as they say.
they find a card on a shelf,
Which
the
that
teen
riddle I
does.
knew was wine.
I
Like,
did not. I
oh,
did
they
not know
the
what the
first time
riddle
through, I
was,
was
yeah.
like, age, it's not fun alone. I screw with your mind. My tricks
I
are well
drink wine
known.
alone all
And
the
I was
time.
like, I mean, that's probably why you didn't know the answer to the riddle.
But then she doesn't drink it because
Yeah.
she, like, knows that this is a trial and this is a problem, and, there's
But the fact that she doesn't drink it is part of the reason why I feel like she doesn't know the witches. Like, yeah, although they have to
mm,
all complete the trial, or when she starts trying to escape and she starts trying to smash the
yeah,
glass,
that's true.
and then like,
She
I
should
mean,
know that she can't get out,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I do like so like I said, so they get to this house and I like at the door, once again, they're like, "What should we do?" And she's like, "Well, we don't want to surprise them." And she goes and rings the doorbell. I'm
Yeah.
just like, "Ah, this is hard."
Heart, why is she
You're
dead? If she's
you're
out
in
of
the
the show, I'm
middle
gonna be
of
upset.
literally a supernatural event, and you're still like, "Well, we still should ring the doorbell." And I also like afterwards, because the back barges in, but and everyone goes in. I love. Did you see her? She stopped to wipe her feet on the mat.
I love that,
And I'm
yeah.
just like, she's
She's so
so good.
polite, yeah.
She's just like, I'm gonna ring the doorbell. I'm gonna wipe my feet, even though I'm in the middle of a unbelievable witch scenario.
Yeah,
She's just like, but yeah. So they get the riddle. It turns out to be some wine, um, that they all drink except for Agatha. And Agatha specifically pours her wine out into a plant.
yeah.
And when she puts her,
Poor bird of paradise gets poisoned.
yep.
Okay, so a little spoilery.
Hmm.
Let's go
Hmm.
down a road.
Okay.
Ha 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 ha.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Oh, we're
so
gonna do road
they're
puns now,
yeah,
Robert.
yeah, they're going look, we're off we were doing a bunch of rail and train puns for Snowpiercer. We can do puns for Agatha and being on the road. How many roads must a witch walk down before you can call them a sorceress? I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I don't know
Anyway,
what that was either.
yeah. Okay, back on track.
Mhm.
Anyway, they're looking for a bottle opener.
Yes. Okay,
I
yeah.
don't know why I figured the bottle would just be open,
Mhm,
whatever.
mhm.
And
Maybe that's part of the trial.
yeah, uh, plant elixir lady,
Yep, Jen.
potion witch.
Yep,
I can't
yep,
remember her name.
Jen. She
Jen.
has the
Yeah, Jen.
simplest
Yeah.
name.
It's talking with the teen,
Mhm.
and it's talking about Agatha giving up her
Child.
firstborn
Yes.
for the Darkhold,
Yes.
and talking about an agent of Mephisto. And
Mhm.
I think the implication that they're trying to make is that maybe the teen is her son
Yeah,
and
and
an
I
agent
feel
of
and
Mephisto.
so, while I agree, if that's what it turned out to be, I feel like it's like, that's too like, when you're doing a good mystery, yes, drop me some breadcrumbs.
Yeah,
But literally her talking about Agatha giving up and she literally even says, she ends her thing talking with like, she probably wouldn't even recognize her son if she showed up on her doorstep, like the teen did. Like it's two on the head face
yeah.
for so that's why I'm hoping
Well,
this is a
this is the
like I
rug pull, though.
I do want yeah, I do want Mephisto because that's one thing like I
Yeah.
say now. I want the bigger picture and I
They've
want
been hinting
Mephisto.
at Mephisto for, like,
Yeah.
4 shows.
And so I really I hope like I said that's why I'm hoping that that's the thing. I don't want the teen to be her son and I don't want him to be because it's like I said it's two on the head. Like they've set up this nice mystery with the teen of like who is he? What's his importance to witches? Why can't witches see him? And for them to just be like, "Oh, it's Agatha's son," after Jen like just so blatantly puts it out there. It's like then you just ruined like I like a little mystery. You don't show the whole monster right off the bat. You give me just a little bit, a
Yeah.
tentacle here, a little, you know, creepy thing
So
over
this is
there.
where we get into real spoilers.
Yes.
Possible.
Mhm.
I don't know if this is true, but the consensus seems to be this is Wanda's son.
Ooh.
And I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
He's too old
Wanda's son with
with
who?
Vision.
When? Like they that's the
It's
thing.
very
Wanda
confusing.
and Vision didn't have any I mean,
I mean, they
s-
did
eh,
in like the glamour
yeah, and the glamour, but I'm just saying they didn't have any
and the
in
hex,
this
I guess. Yeah,
world.
not the glamour,
Like
but
I
the
said,
hex. Yeah,
in the Hex they had fake kids, and then also they had kids in another universe.
yeah.
But in the
But
main
remember, one of the
MCU,
kids in the hex was a magic user. This
true.
is apparently supposed to be him,
I mean, maybe my so
and he
the
wants to go
interesting
on the
thing.
witch's road to bring her back or something. This is what other people are saying, and it
So I
seems
mean,
very
the
plausible.
interesting thing about the teen, and like I said, it could all be part of his, um, like his game maybe, is that he himself seems to be a lot more like he talks about his parent, like that's like whether it's Wanda or Agatha, the fact that he talked about, oh, my parents are probably asleep right now, and then this is the way, like I said, maybe he's just a really good actor and pretending like this stuff, but he himself seems oblivious. If he is Wanda's or Agatha's kid, he seems oblivious to his heritage because he seems to talk like he's a
I mean, but
normal
he's
teen.
also like a master
Yeah,
manipulator.
that's the thing is like I said,
He's a
maybe that's
very
part of the game.
complex character, the teen. Yeah,
Which I like. Which
I
is
love
like
it. Yeah,
I feel like it's just too ham-fisted on the head for it to be like, "It's Agatha's son." Like I said, Jen just put it out there to like I said, if they had been sprinkling little breadcrumbs the whole
yeah,
time, and then it turned out to be Agatha's son, I'd be like, "Okay." But the fact that Jen just so ham-fistedly just bashed it in her face
yeah,
is like, Agatha gave up her kid. She probably wouldn't even recognize him if he showed up. I'm just like, "No, then that can't be the big reveal."
yeah.
So, like I said, I'm hoping this is a red herring. I'm really hoping this is a red herring. Of that, she puts this here, so people start thinking, "Oh, it's her son," and then it's
But
going
they
to get to
can't
be.
keep like introducing the concept of Mephisto and then
Yeah,
pulling the
I mean,
rug out from under us. Okay.
I still want Mephisto to be
Yeah,
involved in all this. I just don't want it to be that this is
yeah.
Agatha's son. But anyways, yeah. But yeah, so
And
we get
where
some.
is Madison? Okay, she's met him. We need Madison back. That is the one character in all of the MCU I need a
hmm
show or I need her to come back.
I'm just next time they have anything to do with Doctor Strange or Wong, I'm hoping she shows up then.
Yes. Oh, I really want like Doctor Strange to just be like Madison.
Well,
Like,
I mean, whatever the scenarios, whether it's an Avenger movie or the next Doctor Strange movie, because they have confirmed they're making a third one, or whatever. The next time they need Wong, I want it to be like Doctor Strange's like, we need Wong since he's a sorcerer. We need the Sorcerer Supreme. Like, where is he? And Doctor Strange's like, hold on a second. He's gonna like open up a portal, and he's just gonna like open up a portal to Wong and Madison's movie night. He's like, what? He's like, well, we need to save the
yeah.
world. He's like, damn it.
Anyway, like you said, the I don't remember the name of the thing, the riddle. The
Yes.
riddle. Yes, the thing the riddler does.
Yes.
Is wine.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately Miss Hart drinks it. It's
Yep.
like I've had a rough day.
Had a rough day. Like I said, she's a real
Yeah.
one, man. She's out here drinking the wine. She's
Yeah.
fully on board with the witches after just a little talk.
At first, so like they sit on the couch and the teen is talking to the protection witch.
Yep, yep,
I can't remember the name.
yep. I can't
I'm so
remember
bad
her
with the
name.
names.
Like I said, I
Uh
only remember Jen's name because
at,
it's simple.
at
It's
first I
Jen.
thought this was like a she didn't want to talk about it and then she started talking.
And
I
then
was
she
like,
just
"Oh,
starts
this is a
spilling the
truth
beans.
potion." And I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, that's gonna be the trial, is them talking through, like,
Mhm.
they're all gonna bear their truths,
Yeah.
and that's gonna cause a lot of conflict, and they're gonna have to work that out."
Yeah.
Seems very plausible to
Mhm.
me. That
Nope.
is not the direction it goes.
She just decided she wanted to talk about it,
Yeah.
which we get to find out that apparently, yeah, she has a curse or a blocking rune or whatever on her tattooed on her
Yep.
arm because apparently all the women in her family are cursed.
Look,
It's
when you live in the magic world and
yeah,
you're a
that's
magic
a high
person,
plausibility.
you're just cursed, and
Mhm.
curses roll around,
Yep.
like an STD. Like,
And
it's just
and this leads to me to agree with you that he is definitely master manipulator, just because like even though this seems so innocent, he kind of he seems to be warming up to him. He's
yeah.
like, your eyeshadow, missed eyeshadow, but like the hair, they have like this bonding moment where like I do feel like
Almost seemed like she was hitting on him
I don't think so.
a little
There's
bit.
too
I didn't
much of an
understand
age
what she
discrepancy. There's none of that, and he's gay. It's not
she
happening.
didn't necessarily know she's gay. He's gay.
But no, my thing is I'm just like they're bonding and like I feel like when the teen is revealed, it's gonna be a betrayal. Maybe he's Mephisto. Like, I just feel like there's gonna be a betrayal moment. I kinda
Yeah.
feel like the teen might turn out not to
Yeah.
be I mean, it's obvious he's not gonna turn out just to be some teen, like, he's not gonna be who he seems to be.
Yeah.
Um,
But anyway, it turns out that it's a poison,
yep,
and at first it swells your face
mhm,
in a very Brazil
yes.
style, like you're getting some kind of plastic surgery.
Mhm,
That goes away very quickly, but of course they
yeah,
realize that Agatha hasn't been drinking,
yep,
and but the poison is going to cause hallucinations
mhm,
and other
and we
things
get
like
to
that.
see, all their hallucinations throughout it. When we get to see, Mrs. Hart or Sharon. I mean, we should call her Sharon. That's her name, just because no one
Yeah,
else will call her it. But anyways,
Sharon. Yeah,
so when Sharon, we don't get to see her losing like we do everybody else, but we do get to hear it, and we get to hear that like basically like she's back with where Wanda was, and her husband basically suffering.
yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that's, and I do like when she like that happens and she passes out. I was like, oh, good. I see the like I think the team says I see the hallucinations are going to be happy. I'm just like, yeah,
I didn't
um,
understand why Agatha was like, don't let the teen drink." Why did she
yeah.
give a shit?
I know, that's why there's something more with the teen, because yeah, a little bit later we do get to that is
Yeah,
so, like, they discover that she isn't drinking, and so she's smashes the wine, basically, and she's like, "I'm not," and this is after also forgot to point out that she tries to escape from the house, which we find out a little bit later would have been a terrible thing because they are underwater. But anyways, but yeah, they see after this, like she hasn't drinking, and so she smashes her wine, and then conveniently it's like, hey, this is magic. So another cup
yeah,
just fills up. And yeah, basically the teen is like, drink it, and when she won't, he's like, I will. And that's when, like I said, we get to see a weird because we know Agatha is selfish. I mean, she's very selfish. And so it's just a weird moment where Agatha is like, no, no, don't let him. I'll drink it. I'm just like, as we've already said multiple times, there's something more going on
yeah.
here, folks. Like it's just like there's definitely. I feel like this is one of those shows because I watched this episode twice just by coincidence. I just wanted a refresher before I came over
But
today.
by the way, you can do that easily because it's only 30
Hmm.
minutes. It's a short
Yeah,
episode. Yeah.
very short episode, shorter than the first two. But yeah, so I watched it twice and already saw a little bit of this. Is like I feel like this is one of those shows if they're doing it right, where once we watch it all, we're gonna realize there was a lot of like different clues that you might
Yeah.
have picked up on. Because one of them I already noticed is when he walks up to the door. Actually, when they get to the house and they're like the moon phases are on the door, and he's like, "Oh, it's the full moon," which he's like stands for water. And then they
Mm.
go in the house, and then it turns out they're underwater, and I'm like, "Ah, I see what
Yeah,
you did."
yeah,
And I
yeah.
feel like because there's a bunch of stuff that happened in this episode that was interesting. There's a part the clairvoyant lady, her and Agatha. So Agatha drinks the poison, and then they got to find the stuff to make the
I want to go
cure.
back and rewatch the first episode because I bet there was a lot that I missed with her interactions with the other characters.
Yeah,
Like that they were like nuanced that like, oh, clearly they're just placating her because she's a crazy person
yeah.
and hallucinating all this. Yeah.
But yeah, so they're going off to get the stuff to make the cure, and she's with the clairvoyant lady. And while they're talking about the cure, out of nowhere, the clairvoyant lady says, "Save Agatha," just out of nowhere, and it's like, what? Like, why did
Yeah.
you say that? And I feel like it's like, so that's another thing that later on is gonna become clear what's happening, like, maybe she's seen something from the future at a later point,
Yeah.
and there's a few times that different stuff like that happened.
So let's talk
Um,
about the
yeah,
hallucinations.
let's say everyone starts
Okay,
having the hallucinations.
Agatha's easy. Is she's hallucinating her baby,
Yes.
and then she sees the dark hole in the
In the
crib.
crib, yep,
Very very poignant.
yep,
The protection witch sees her mom.
mhm.
The
With the protect
potions.
I was gonna say with the protection with she sees her mom, and the thing that I find interesting is her mom says, I mean, they already talked about the rune on her arm to keep her from being cursed, but the mom says, "I'm sorry I couldn't save you." And so
Mm,
I really feel like there's gonna be a lot more about with
I
her
think
about
with all of them,
Yeah, oh
like
yeah,
there's a lot
100%.
going on. I mean, there's a lot. We've got several episodes of the show coming,
Mhm.
and there's going to be a lot to explore with each of them as they go down
Yeah,
the witch's road. Because the question in my mind is, how much are we gonna be on the road the whole series,
maybe.
or are we gonna get off of it in a couple of episodes and then do some real world stuff? But I
Yeah.
think we might stay on the road for
I think
quite for the
I
whole
think
series.
this so yeah, I think this show ends
Yeah,
with the end of the road.
fair enough, fair enough, fair enough.
Um,
I didn't really understand the I wanna know more about, like, the potion witch and the
yeah,
doctor.
yeah.
Like, that was very because they're so old, they're hundreds of years
Mhm.
old or more,
Yep,
and, like,
except for the
oh, because
protection
this is like
witch.
this is not just like a modern day doctor, this is
No, this is,
like a 19, like, 20s doctor or
yeah,
maybe earlier, right? Like,
mhm.
there's some stuff going on there, and
He talks about her betraying him and literally tries to
yeah.
drown her in the sink.
And then the clairvoyance witch, I want what's going
Yeah,
on with her? She's got, like,
even
death
farther back in
stalking her?
time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
like yeah.
there's stuff going
I
on
like I
there,
said, I
yeah.
think we're gonna get to
I
as we
wanted the
go,
teen to drink so that way we could see what his hallucination was gonna be.
but that would
What is
give it
more
away.
about the teen,
That's
man?
the whole mystery of the show, Robert. That's what keeps you watching to find out.
Yeah,
But yeah, so they all have to deal with their
yeah.
hallucinations. Um,
Kinda like the third half of this the third of this episode, I
mhm.
shouldn't say half, uh,
Third half.
yeah, is about the making the potion,
Yeah.
the antidote
Mhm.
to it is called the, Alewife's Revenge is the
Yes.
poison they've taken, and they run around, kept getting all the ingredients together. I thought it was funny, it's like, "We need a 30-million-year-old corpse,"
Yeah.
and it's like, "Oh, we just need some oil,"
Yeah.
like, some petroleum products, very, very poignant, very good.
Yep.
I also thought it was funny that, like, "I have newt." Oh,
Mhm.
mustard seed.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like the bile
I mean,
of an insect, it's like, "Oh,
that's
honey."
one of the things I can't even remember what it was, but it was another I can't remember if it was a book series I read or something, but basically it was dealing with witches and how like, there's all this oh, they need I am new and like in it the witch is like everyone always hypes up our concoctions when it's like we're just using basic household ingredients, but
Yeah.
people are always like, "Oh, so you're using I am new." It's like, "You mean mustard?"
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So like they made it like witching is a much more mundane thing than you
Yeah.
think it is.
But they put this all into a sink as a cauldron,
Yep.
and then they're like, "Oh, we need to heat it up and boil it."
Yeah.
And they grab a sous vide. I'm
Mhm.
like, "It would take an hour
Yeah,
to
sous vide
to
takes
to cause
forever.
that
They
sink to
had 30
boil."
minutes. I was like, "You do not know how a sous vide works."
But the
Um,
whole time they're making this potion and they're, like, putting their hair in and doing the chant, I'm like,
yeah.
"Heart's lying unconscious on the table.
Mhm.
You're leaving her out.
Yes.
You're leaving her out."
Which so they make the potion they needed to the blood of someone who wasn't poisoned, so they
Mhm.
use the teen,
How
and
convenient.
yeah, but the thing I mean, yeah, how would you do it if they had actually done the Witch's Road, how would they have done this?
I'm assuming the Witch's Road has, like, a presence, a
Oh,
mind
like
of
it
its
makes yeah,
own,
so the trial is
and it
adapted
would
to
not give you a task that could not be completed.
yeah, yeah,
You just
maybe.
have to have the skills as a witch
Mhm.
and the logic to complete the task.
Right.
Because how are they gonna boil the sink? Oh, there's a sous vide there.
Mhm.
Well,
And then, like, when they go
they
to get the
gave you a sous vide.
petroleum,
Yeah.
they find Jin's
Yeah.
products and stuff,
Yeah.
which that was kind of funny where she's like,
I mean,
"Jin's"
this was Jen's trial,
yeah.
portion of the trial, right? So it
Mhm.
was of course, it was in a house that would be, like, for people like,
Yeah.
for her
She even
customers.
says, "I look like one of my
Yeah,
customers." And then
exactly, yeah.
I really like when, they're getting the petroleum and they find Jin's products and she's like, "Ah, th this facial cream." And it's like, but the one lady's like, "But it's all natural." And it's like, "I know it's And then later on, when they bring it to her, it turns out like
By the way, they didn't open it up and pour it in, they just dumped the
yeah,
product
they just
sealed
dropped
into
it
the
in
sink.
there. Magic is weird, man. But anyways, so they make
By the
the
way, brewing a potion would be fantastic. The bubbling, the
Mhm.
cauldron, the stirring with the dominant hand, the
Yep.
color changes. I would love to brew a potion. That'd be great if magic was real.
But, so they get it, and they all drink it, but they forget about Sharon.
They
Almost.
almost forget, but
Well,
they
so
remember
that's
the last
where I'm
second. Yeah.
wondering if, like, I have a couple things about this. Because they get some to Sharon, the time runs out, and like the stove opens, which is their way out, and they all get out, but also still the glass cracks, which I'm like, I guess my thing is like because Sharon is still dead. Or supposedly.
That
Maybe
we know
she's
of.
not.
Yeah.
If she's not dead, then this doesn't matter. But she's still. And I'm just wondering because, like I said, one of the
I think she's
ingredients.
dead. I think she's dead.
I do too. Once I like thinking through it more,
It's
especially
upsetting.
especially with knowing like I said, my theory is that for the Green Witch, they're going to have Audrey Plaza show up, follow them down there, or whatever, somehow. But anyways, if she is dead, I'm just wondering like why is she dead? Like they got her the antidote, obviously
Not
in
fast
time,
enough. Not fast enough.
I
And she
guess.
didn't have her hair in it.
Oh, does
Because
every?
remember
Oh
they
yeah,
all had to
everyone had to
pull
put
out a
their
strand
own
of hair and
hair.
put it in
Yeah, they
there.
forgot
And
about
yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's interesting. But yeah, and then that's pretty much. Oh, and then then there's one last thing is like so Sharon's dead, and I'm not sure if they were playing it off as a joke or not, but it's basically the team says Sharon's dead, and then Agatha says who's Sharon, and part of me is like, is this a joke, just playing off of
Well,
how
no, because there was a
selfish?
moment earlier in the episode where she was calling her Miss Hart,
Yeah,
and then she tried to call her alternate Westview name,
yeah,
and then they said Sharon
yeah,
and corrected her. So
yeah.
because like she doesn't remember. She's still kind of
That's the
stuck
thing
in the
is, yeah, that's what
delusion
I was about to
in
say.
the
Is it
hex.
either?
Yeah.
That's why I was wondering, like, is it showing that they're still
It
like
was not
she's
a
still not
comedy
full?
thing. I
That's
mean, it
yeah.
is a comedy thing, but it wasn't like they were trying to play it for comedy. It
Okay,
was that the Agatha character
is still
still
messed up in the
doesn't
mind.
remember the correct name of her character.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Okay, that's what I was like wondering. Like, is it that, or is it more of a comedy that's showing how like selfish he is? But yeah, that's where I was kind of confused.
Yeah.
But that's the episode. So
This show
overall,
is bad.
it's not
It's
bad,
not
and
bad.
I honestly think this show, if done right, could really like because like I said, if they when whatever it is, because like I said, they've built a mystery into this show, which is
Mhm.
always fun. And if when we get to the end of it, it's the mystery is tied to the bigger MCU, world, and B is like a good enough like reveal where it's like, oh my gosh, and especially if, and also C once you see the reveal, it makes previous things in the series like suddenly make a lot of sense, like the breadcrumbs. Like this show, I feel like this series could be amazing.
I don't think it matters.
I think
Here's where I'm at.
okay.
We couple of years ago
Mhm.
had the end game high.
Yes.
We peaked.
Yes.
We hit a peak.
100%.
And then everything after that, I mean,
You
you
can't
can't
repeat
beat
that. No,
Endgame, right? That
you
was like
can't.
20 years of
But I
buildup
feel like you could
to a
yeah.
crescendo. And we kind of were like, but we wanted to keep riding that high.
Yeah. I
And that wasn't possible.
it's yeah.
And so it's kind of been a downward slope.
Mhm, mhm.
And now I think we've leveled out.
Yeah.
I think we've leveled out and now we can kind of start over a little bit
Yeah.
and say it's okay for this to just be a show
Mm.
in the MC universe and we don't need it to be the greatest thing in
It
humankind.
doesn't need to be the
Like
greatest thing. I think what I want is
we can
just
just it can just be
the thing that I
and
need
enjoy it.
is the like I said, I can be like I said, I'm not expecting like everything to be the next, WandaVision or the next,
Exactly.
thing.
But we
But
were. There was a
yeah, there was, but
time
I still the thing
right
I'm still
after
looking
the end
for.
game where we were wanting it to everything to be the
Yeah.
greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
And now we've brought
We've
down
come down, we've
the
hit a
average.
nice plateau that feels good. My thing is like I still, while I don't everything that is great, I still want to see that there's a like I said, the MCU has been built on. There's a bigger story being
Yeah,
told
yeah,
with
yeah,
everything, and
yeah.
so that's what I'm looking for. And
I
I just
think
want
there
that
is. I think there
connectivity
is.
back.
I think there's gonna
Even
be.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just gonna take a little bit to get there.
mm-hmm,
But this can just be its thing.
yeah,
And it can be fun. It's just a little show about witches
yeah,
that's
yeah,
in the MCU. And
mm-hmm,
it's kind of got connections, it ties in, it
yeah.
whatever. But we're not we it doesn't need to be a 9.
No, no,
It can
no, no.
just be a solid 7 and we can live with that. And
Yeah,
I think that's where the MCU is. And I think we're better for it as a race
yeah.
of humans.
As the human race.
And we can start enjoying it again.
Yeah,
and we can start over, and we can. And when the Thunderbolts comes, we're gonna be excited
Mm-hmm.
because it's not because Thunderbolts is not gonna be Endgame,
It's not gonna be Endgame, but I
but
do
it doesn't have to be.
seeing the trailer. I do feel like it can be
It
like
none of it has to be Endgame anymore.
I just hoping it's like same level as like Suicide Squad.
I don't think it's gonna be Suicide Squad.
I think it can be a lot of fun.
Suicide Squad is so good,
It is good, but
Donnell.
it looks like this. I don't know. It looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun. Anyways,
Anyway, what I'm saying is go back and maybe rewatch some Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Maybe go
yeah.
back and watch She-Hulk.
I
I
mean,
think they would be better. They'd be they I
Falcon.
think you'd view them in a different light now that you've come off the high of
Yeah.
Endgame.
What about what do you think? What about Secret Invasion? Do you think that one
Look, Secret
after
Invasion,
coming
we
off?
don't talk about
Yeah, I was about to
Secret
say.
Invasion,
I feel like
okay?
even without the high, I
We
still feel
don't
like
talk
Secret
about Secret
Invasion.
Invasion, Donnell. I totally forgot that was even a show. No, you go back and you watch Miss Marvel,
Yep. Yep.
like you
Give
go back, you
honestly,
watch
yeah.
She-Hulk,
Please
you
give
watch
Miss Marvel another shot if you
it was
haven't.
so good.
It was.
Black Widow was good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Black Widow was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black Widow. My biggest issue with Black Widow is not Black Widow the movie. It's why did we release it when we did?
Yeah.
I
It
really.
was out of place.
It
It
was
was
just
out of
so
place.
out of
Yeah.
place. Like I feel like Black Widow could have been a hit.
There was a contractual obligation
Yeah,
that they like didn't want to do, and they were forced to do it. It was still good. It
it was
was
still
still
good
fun. It
and
was just out of
introduced
place.
good
Yeah.
characters
Yeah.
too. Like
I mean, Florence Pugh,
yeah, I was about to say
the Black
Ilana,
Widow,
and
Florence
honestly, I
Pugh.
like the Red Guardian played
Yeah.
by David
Yeah.
whatever Harbor,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, I like both. Both, and that's why I'm glad they're both in the Thunderbolts. 'Cause I'm like, those are both some fun characters.
Yeah.
And even in the trailer, I like when like she shows up and she's like, "It's me, Dad," and you hear him, "Oh, sorry, 1 second." Like he's like rushing around the house trying to clean up. I'm just like, yeah, I feel like there's gonna be some fun interaction with
Oh,
them in that
so
movie,
good.
and yeah,
So good. Yeah. I'm
um,
looking forward to Thunderbolts.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
I feel like Thunderbolts is gonna be the start
Mm,
of the next phase.
yeah.
Like it's gonna really jumpstart us into the I don't know, maybe I'm got too many high hopes for it, but whatever. Hey, if you like the show, consider visiting our website, watchingitpod.com. There you can find links to our social media and to email us, watchingitpod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us if you like the shows we're covering. Tell us about shows you think we should be covering or movies we should be talking about, or just, bitch at us. We'd love to read that as well. You can also support us on Patreon and on Spotify, formerly Anchor.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah. Donnell, what else should they do?
Well, one thing you should do is actually listen because I got reached out to by a friend of the podcast,
Yeah.
friend
Which
who's
one? Do I know him?
yeah, the one we went to his wedding
Oh,
recently.
fantastic,
Yeah, yeah, he
fantastic.
reached out
The
to
N.
us.
The
Yeah,
N.
and he reached out to me, and he's done this before. Is he reached out to me and he's like, "Man, have you guys seen this movie or this show Interview with a Vampire?" And I'm like, "No,"
Yeah.
I was like, "It's just so you ain't listening to
Listen
our
to the back
podcast because
episodes.
we talked about." He also hit me up with Severance. He hit me up with Three Bodies, but it's always after we've already talked about. Like it's weeks after we've already talked about it because he hit me up with Three Bodies problem after it had been on for a while. Like, you guys check out Three Bodies. Like, yes, we checked out Three Bodies. Who do
You
you
know what
think
you
we
reply
are?
to him with is like, have you checked out Interview with the Vampire? You'd be like, have you checked Let the Right One In?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh,
Every time you
that's
bring that up, it just
look.
hurts.
There's
It
Firefly.
hurts.
There's
Mm-hmm.
Firefly, and then there's Dresden Files,
Yep.
and then there's Let the Right One In.
Yep.
Those are like my three shows. I'm like, why did they get canceled early?
It just hurts, man. Every time you bring up Let the Right One In,
It
there's
was
a pain.
so
I just want to know how it would
good.
have. Oh, I almost want to watch
Anyway, support the show. Give us ratings and reviews. That would be helpful. If you can't support us monetarily, we understand
it
it's
again.
hard times these days. But visit our website, email us, be engaged. We'd love to hear from you.
Yep. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about a little bit of what else we've been watching and a little news. All right, we are back, and Robert, you've been playing a lot of Satisfactory, my
I have been playing a lot of Satisfactory. I've been playing a lot. It goes on and on, my friends. It goes forever.
friend.
We thought we were done, and then it's like, oh, here's a whole nother section you got to do. And
You're never done,
I
Robert.
started a solo game, and it's just a lot. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm. I got you on Steam, man. I see it. I see it all the time. It's like, oh, there it goes again.
uh, anyway, so as promised, from our last episode, I checked out the first episode of Penguin.
Mhm.
It is really good.
Mhm.
It's
I
odd. It's like, is this in the DC universe? Like,
yeah. Oh,
it's just like a story about the mob,
yeah. Yeah.
and like
It's a mob
the
show.
mob bosses died,
That
and here's like kind of a
a
mid-level
power grab.
guy,
Yeah.
like yeah, power grab,
Mhm.
and man, it is Colin Farrell.
Yeah. Yeah.
You cannot recognize that it's him
No.
the whole time. He does the voice, and
He
the makeup is so good.
yeah.
Like in the Batman,
Mhm.
the movie The Batman,
Yep.
it's really dark.
Yeah.
This, he's like in the
In the
light of
daylight,
day,
yeah.
and it still looks really good. The makeup, and it
Mhm.
looks so natural. Like even that his face is all scarred up and
Yeah.
everything. He's got the waddle
He
down.
got the waddle down. I was
Oh,
gonna say when they like back when the Batman was coming out and when they first announced what's his face was playing the Batman.
I
I
don't
can't
remember his
remember his
name
name. But
either.
yeah, I was like I said, that took me some convincing because I was like, I don't know. But then I eventually decided I'd give him a shot and he did fantastic. But anyways, then after that, they're like, oh, by the way, Colin Farrell is the Penguin. And I was like, what the hell are they doing in casting over there? But I will take back my statement on both of them because
Robert
they
Patterson,
yeah,
by the
Robert
way.
Patterson phenomenal Batman, and Colin Farrell, phenomenal Penguin. And before that movie came out, I'd be like, no way in hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I mean, Zoe Kravitz as Catgirl,
yeah, Catwoman, yeah,
Catwoman. Sorry.
Catwoman.
Okay, yeah.
Zoe Kravitz is a woman, Robert. Ain't no girl going on over
Fair
it.
enough.
But
Fair enough.
anyways,
Fair enough.
no, what I was gonna say though, the only thing that I'm bummed about the Penguin is that it released on a Thursday. But apparently it's a Sunday show because
That
this
was really
Thursday
weird as
rolled
well.
around, and I was like, "Let's get some Penguin," and then it was like, "No episode," and I was like, What?" And then I looked up, it was like, "Coming out on Sunday." Like, what the hell you doing? What? I was all soaked.
Yeah, what kind of release schedule is
I
this?
waited this whole week, and when Thursday came, I was like, "I'm going home." I had a long day at work on Thursday. I'm like, "I'm going home. I'm getting comfortable. We're watching Penguin," and then they ruined my whole evening. uh,
But yeah, it's really great.
mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
I'm excited
Matt
to
Reeves
watch more.
knows
Yeah.
something about making some Batman content, apparently. Movie was great. Shows were feeling good. Good stuff.
All right, let's. I we're back at it. I gotta work through my anime list
Mhm,
that I
mhm.
still got. Donnell has requested two from my list. We're gonna start with Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash.
Yes.
This is a really good one.
Okay.
This is a really good one. It's an isekai. Um, there is like a subgenre of isekai where like a whole classroom gets taken,
Yeah, we've talked about some
gets
of these before.
transported, and usually what happens in those is they send everybody through like the hopper
Yeah.
and say, okay, everybody like touch the crystal ball and get tested.
Yeah.
You know, a certain amount of them are S tier, certain amount of them are A tier, B tier, D tier, F tier, whatever, right?
Right.
This is kind of the rejects.
Mm.
Not like the worst of the worst. If you want like the worst of the worst, you could check out like Fatal Frame, where like the worst of the worst gets like thrown in. They're just like, okay, you're trash. We gotta like hide that you ever existed and throw you into a dungeon where no one returns, but they end up doing. Fatal Frame's an interesting one. This is like kind of the D class.
Mhm.
All the A class and the S class and whatnot, they go on to like get rich and go on adventures and become the quote heroes.
Yes.
This is the group that like they just like, okay, go out and do whatever.
Yeah.
So they're not like over OP. It's a group of them. They kind of stick together and they struggle.
Yeah.
It's not that they, like I said, they're not overpowered.
Yeah.
They're just in this fantasy world. They've got some abilities. If they save up enough money, they can buy training and new abilities.
Mhm.
But they're just like struggling to buy clothes and struggling to get feed themselves and house themselves, and they're having to bunk up and go out and fight goblins, but like it's a struggle and some of them die.
Mhm.
And it's a darker side of isekai
Yeah.
that's really an interesting avenue to explore instead of like the main heroes.
Yeah.
And they have pride. So like the heroes show up and like here's some money and they're like, no, we're not taking your money. We're gonna make our own way. We're gonna make this happen. We're gonna make this work.
Okay.
And is really beautifully done. And just yeah, just amazing characters, amazing story of them starting out at nothing,
Yeah.
and they do grow stronger as time goes on, but trials and tribulations to get there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds actually, yeah, no, that's really good. I like that.
yeah.
Like that concept, that idea.
Another one that's kind of an interesting isekai, Moonlight Fantasy.
Moonlight fantasy.
So Grimgar, I think, is only one season.
Okay.
Moonlight Fantasy, I think we're 3 seasons. I think there's a fourth season coming. It's kind of a more fun, more energetic
Yeah.
anime. It is an isekai, but it's not like a reincarnation thing.
Okay.
It is about a kid whose parents have died, and he gets transported to another world. And the the
As you
kind of
do.
the kind of god there is like, hey, uh, I was kind of forced to bring you here. I didn't really want to, but I had to do it because of a previous deal that your parents made. And oh, your parents are from this planet. You're an alien on Earth,
Yeah.
and you've been tamped down by the gravity and the magic on Earth.
Yeah.
He gets to the new planet. The god is just like just drops him from the stratosphere. And he's like, "Oh my god, I'm falling. I'm going to die." And she's like, "No, you're like overpowered. You're going to be fine." Totally just lands softly.
Yeah.
Like but it lands hard, but
Yeah.
softly, and it's just super overpowered from the get-go. Uh like finds like a dragon god, just smacks it down. That dragon god becomes one of his like servants, disciples. There's like a bug god, an insect god that's like a spider.
Yeah.
Totally smacks it down, becomes one of his servants. He tries to go and like meet other humans,
Yeah.
but he's got so much magical power that he looks like a demon. So everybody thinks he's like he like goes into like a bar and they're like, "You can eat here, but please eat and leave because you look hideous." Like it is really fun and funny, and because he's just, like, shunned by the humans, even though he technically is one,
Yeah.
they he just kinda starts, like, his own little monster kingdom and then, like, this extra dimensional realm.
Okay.
It's just a lot of fun because he's overpowered, but also, like, upset that everybody hates him, like, all of his peers, and he makes, like, a deal with the god. He's like, "Okay, well, let me speak all other languages."
Yeah.
Specifically all other languages. So he can speak all the like monster languages, but
Yeah.
not the human languages. It's just really fun.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting one, kind of harem
Yeah.
in a way, but
Nice.
he's not like harem and it explores really interesting places like all the people that are his disciples like look at him like he's a god in a certain way. And like he'll do things like he practices like using a bow and arrow,
Yeah.
and he'll like calm himself to like almost a transcendental state, and all of his disciples are kind of connected to him and they freak out because he basically nulls himself,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh my god, the guy just died.
Yeah.
He's alive. He just died." Every time he shoots an arrow. And yeah, and there's all this stuff like where he's gonna fight like the goddess of the realm, and it's just really amazing and really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, two dynamically like
Yeah. Kind of the opposites.
contradictory
Yeah.
animes for sure.
Yeah.
Grimgar is just really good. It's like one of the best things. So is Moonlight Fantasy, but Grimgar is like very serious.
Yeah.
Moonlight Fantasy is like fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Nice. Nice.
excellent. Tell me about the Boy Scouts, Donnell.
It's not,
You were in the Boy Scouts?
yeah, I'm pretty sure I've talked about this before,
I maybe,
but
but I
yeah, no,
I don't recall. You don't seem like the Boy Scouts kind of guy.
I mean, I definitely wasn't. I mean,
How many badges did you get?
I mean, I had a ton. I made it up to star. Yeah, it's go star life. Yeah,
I don't know what
but
that
anyways,
means. There was a guy I
so
worked with that
y-
was like he
y-
was an Eagle Scout,
yeah,
and he was like, "Oh, you could totally make Eagle Scout." I'm like, I looked
no,
into it. I'm like, no, no, no,
no,
no, no.
and it's not what
There,
it
there's
is.
like there's like a like, Eagle Scouts seemed like crazy to me in my mind
Yeah.
until I started to looking into it.
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, you just have to do, like, these things,
Mhm.
this list of things." There's one of the list that's like you have to write an essay about why family is important.
Yeah.
I'm like, "I'm gonna fail because 'cause I'm gonna be like, "Why is family important?" It's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
No,
didn't matter to me. Like,
uh,
I got by just fine
yeah.
without family.
So I mean, if we're gonna talk about Boy Scouts, that's definitely gonna be an episode of Talking It. So that I will pin that for Talking It next time. But top level, I will always just say I was in Boy Scouts until I realized I didn't have to be in Boy Scouts because literally there was two things in my childhood that I did until I realized my parents wanted me to do it because they thought I wanted to do it, and that's baseball and Boy Scouts. And there came a day with both of them,
I
a
don't see you playing
revelation.
baseball either.
I hated baseball. It was the worst thing ever. Boring sport out there. And there was a revelation where one day I was just like, I hate baseball. And my mom was like, then why are you playing it? I was like,
You
because I
told me
thought you
to.
guys wanted me. And they're like, no, we thought you. And so I quit. And the same with Boy Scouts. I was like, one day I was like, I went to my mom and was like, Mom, I'm just not really feeling Boy Scouts. And she's like, okay, well then quit. And I was like, oh, I can do that. And she's like, yeah. And I was gone. I was just gone.
That was
But
always
anyways,
allowed.
besides that, I did learn. You do learn stuff in Boy Scouts. Not
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
it's
yeah,
viable.
yeah.
But you know, they you learn some camping and stuff. And so one of the things you learn in Boy Scouts when it comes to like wilderness survival is if you're stranded in the middle of nowhere or something happens and you're in the wilderness. This is how it goes, Robert. This is how it goes. Water, fire, shelter.
Okay,
You find yourself some drinkable water as fast as possible because
okay.
water is
Yeah.
life for humans. Fire because you need that heat and you can sleep under the stars if you have to, and then shelter. And the only reason why I bring this up is because I am in no way a survivalist. I would not survive, even though I've been in the bush, would not survive. I there's and stuff in any of the wilderness scenario. And I watch these shows. I've talked about one of them before, Alone. I talked about
Mhm.
Alone, and there's another show that I'm watching right now called Outlast, basically the same concept for both of them. Outlast, except you're doing it in a team. They send a bunch of people out into the wilderness. Whoever can last the longest wins some money. And in all these shows, they always have these people showing like I'm a survival expert, I'm a this or that. I've did the military for this long. These people listing out their credentials. And
This
once
is a
again,
Netflix show?
yeah.
Okay.
Once again, I would never sign up for these shows because I know I'm not surviving. But the thing that annoys me so much is me, the non-survivalist,
Yeah.
knows water, fire, shelter. And every time in these shows, I'm just like, how do you people say you're survivalists? Every time there is always either a group or a single person who's like, step one, we need to establish a shelter. And I'm just like, and these people always fail because they spend too much time. Like one dude was building a log cabin before he even found himself a good source of water. And
Yeah,
guess
that's
what?
crazy.
He tapped out because he dehydrated. He's like, by the time he realized I need water, it was too late. And I'm watching this.
I mean, I would think it would be like in my novice self would be water, food, fire, shelter. But I guess you can go like a month or
You
two
can go
without
a
food.
while without food. I
Yeah.
mean, it does slow you down, and you will need, especially. I mean, like I said, maybe if you're in the wilderness, either somewhere it's hot or it's during summertime, fire can go lower on the totem pole. But a lot, especially in these shows and in a lot of wilderness scenarios, like yeah, you will die of freezing
Yeah.
long before you need
And
food.
I guess if you find water, you probably got food there too,
Yeah,
because they're gonna be fish.
exactly. And so in the most recent show that I'm watching, Outlast, there's literally a group. There's four groups, and three of the four groups. Well, no, so all four groups do the one thing that you need to do, which is find water. They all
Hmm.
find water. Three of the four groups get working on fire immediately. The fourth group is like, we need to build some sort of shelter, and they spend the first 2 days without fire and building a shelter. And by the third day, that one of the people in the group, because in this show you can, if you have to be in a group to win, but you don't have to be in the same group. So you can go to another group and if you can convince
Mm.
them. So one of them, and I at first I was like, this girl's a bitch for abandoning her group. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, no, she just realized these people are gonna get her killed. Because like by the third day, this girl's like, hey guys, I'm gonna go get some water. And she never came back. She found a different group. And then the time they finally got fire, they were also just messed up that two of them tapped out. And then the one guy who was left, he luckily actually did find another group. But still, I was just was like I said, once again, I am not a survivalist. I know I watch these shows, I would not be able to do half the things these people do.
Yeah.
I would be tapping out day one. I already guarantee it. But I still was like, me in my infantile knowledge still knows you need water and fire long before you need shelter. I mean, shelter is a high priority, but like water, fire, man, water, fire. And the fact that there's still people who are going in and was like, I'm a survivalist. I spent 13 day or years living out in the wilderness all by myself, and then they get dropped in there and it's like, all right, step one, build a hut. I'm like, no, stop it. Who
Yeah.
are you people? Who are you people? But anyways, that's just my gripe. As like I said, I'm just a normal person. The fact
That
that
guy who's been doing it, he's like, he forgot his roots.
apparently,
He was too used to having water
yeah,
and
he's like, there's
fire.
always water. I've got it covered.
He's too used to having a house.
Yep, yep. So I have a quick little tidbit of news.
All right.
Not really news. It's more just an article I found interesting. Um, is so it was recently Samuel Jackson did a interview about basically being in the MCU for so long and all that stuff. And he brought up one thing is so when I think we all remember when the MCU started, we found out that Samuel Jackson signed on for nine to play the role of Nick Fury in nine things, whether it was movies or
Boy,
TV
that's a crazy
shows.
contract.
Yeah. Well, so he thought it was too, and he also signed it.
How many has he been in?
I think he's already overshot his 9
Really?
and he has
Okay.
been in more. But so like I said in this interview, basically Samuel Jackson was saying like he signed the contract one because it was Disney and they were offering him crazy money,
Yeah.
but also because he thought I'm never gonna complete this contract because before the I mean that's the thing that I think about before the MCU like movies took a
Yeah.
lot longer and stuff.
Yeah.
And he literally said in this interview, he said, when they said, hey, we want you to play nine in this role in 9 movies, he was like, I'll be dead long before we get to that. Cause he's like,
Yeah.
he's not the youngest dude and he's not the oldest dude, but he's looking at his age and like, okay, 9 movies, probably a movie one every 5 to 6 years. And he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to complete this. And then he's like, he finished with saying, "I had no idea that they were going to complete 9 movies in 2.5 years." And I'm just like, I just found that just very interesting to thinking about. It's like, yeah, Samuel L. Jackson literally, like he's saying, when he signed on to Disney thing, he's just like, yeah, I'm getting a nice paycheck, and like I don't even have to finish. I'm gonna be dead before before we get that last movie done. And then he was like, no, they hit the ground. I mean, that's things you hear about with so many of the movies how they were shot. Some of them
Yeah.
were back to back.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just found that interesting. I just like that idea that when Samuel Jackson signed on, he's like, I'm never gonna finish this. He's like, I'm just gonna take my paycheck, enjoy it, and Disney can recast somebody else in 25
Who
cents
would you recast
for Nick Fury.
for Nick Fury?
I don't think you could, for one small reason.
Okay.
You would have to do Nick Fury Senior, which is a really convoluted thing.
Okay.
Because the reason I don't think you could do Nick Fury Junior, which is who Samuel L. Jackson plays, literally it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It is when so Nick Fury Jr. comes from the Ultimate Universe, which was the
Okay.
younger thing. Like Marvel's first universe was amazing. Then they made Ultimate. When they made Nick Fury Sr., who is retcon into being his father, is a white dude who looks kind of like not Pierce Brosnan. What's that dude? Baywatch dude. I can't remember his
Oh, I
name.
don't remember
Yeah,
either.
but
Yeah.
the dude from Baywatch, he looks kind of like that.
Yeah.
When they came to the Ultimate Universe, they wanted to try something new. They thought, this was back in the day where they, ooh, something excited. What if we made Nick Fury black? So they decided to make him black, and they specifically even said we model him after Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
So they made Nick Fury look like Samuel L. Jackson. So when it came time for the MCU to cast Nick Fury, you're gonna cast Samuel L. Jackson because the guy already looks like the character because the character looks like him.
Yeah.
And so I kind of just feel like at the end of the day, it was like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like they made Nick Fury look like Samuel L. Jackson, so Samuel L. Jackson plays Nick Fury because Nick Fury looks like Samuel L. Jackson. So I don't know if you could recast Nick Fury because he was literally made to be Samuel L. Jackson.
So yeah, you don't recast
No.
and like try and replace. You just have him fade out, and then you have someone step in the place, which is oh, I can't remember her Maria Hill.
Yeah,
Yeah,
except he's dead.
is she? Oh, that's
Yeah,
right, because
that's
the scroll killed her.
mhm, mhm.
I don't know, man.
I was like, I know where you're going with replace, but you can't
They
replace.
needed to be setting up a replacement,
Yeah.
like a right hand person.
I mean, that was Hill. until they
It was
killed her.
Hill, yeah.
Until like the fact is, remember when Hill was first introduced in like was it the first Marvels and stuff or Avengers? And my thing is like she was such a small role.
Yeah.
And you didn't think, oh, we're going to be seeing a lot more of her. But then they made her prominent. Like she kept coming back. She rose through the ranks. She became more prominent in helping Nick Fury. Where like everything said, like, oh, we're watching the rise of the next one, and then they just killed her. That's the
Yeah.
problem. Is I'm just like, you put together this great storyline of watching a more back. I mean, she became more prominent, of course, but still,
Yeah.
a background character rise through the ranks and become more integral to the plot and become more big picture, and then you killed her. Like, what was the whole point of that story?
Well, okay, so here's the only way I see that you replace him, right? Is you have Hawkeye,
uh,
Clint Barnes.
Flint Barnes.
Have him take over the Nick Fury role
Yeah,
because you've got the new Hawkeye
yeah.
in place,
Hawkeye's injured and stuff.
right?
The only reason I say no, and we actually saw some of this in Secret Invasion, is like to be the Nick Fury role. I don't know if you can be a family man. It takes you away from your family
True,
a
true,
lot.
true.
And
Well,
he's
I
already
mean, maybe that's the
him
story,
about to
though.
say him being Hawkeye already, like that's one of the things we saw in Hawkeye is he was really enjoying not being a hero and just being a family man. I just couldn't see someone showing up and being like, hey, put
I
on
feel
the
like his wife would understand.
sir. And
Kids would have trouble with it,
maybe it's
but
after
that's
his
when Nick
kids are
Fury
grown up.
comes. Is be like, hey, I'm gonna
Yeah.
retire, or
And maybe his
maybe
kids are
he's
already grown
dying,
up and
and
off in
Clint
college.
Barnes is there and is like, if you want to protect the family, you got to take the role.
Yeah.
Like someone has to do
Hands
this
him a pair of
job,
sunglasses.
and you're the person
and a leather coat.
Oh man, that's good stuff.
I mean, yeah, if this was going to go on longer, that would be kind of cool to see Clint in that role.
Well, join us next week when we're going to continue to talk about Agatha All Along. This show is not bad.
It's not.
We're going to stick with it.
I came in with low expectations, and I'll say it's exceeded it. So that's nice.
Excellent.
And anyways, folks, yeah, join us next week. Give us, as Robert always said, give us any rating reviews, 5 stars. We'd love to hear from you. I am checking the email a little bit more often these days, so we'll get back to you within 2 to 3 weeks instead of 2 to 3 months. And thanks so much for listening. Bye.